Nearly live. I might get cut off on the way in, but never mind. Hi, welcome to the First Stage channel. I'm First Stage, not really, and I'm here today to talk about another virtual tabletop. If you look in my previous videos, you'll see I've recently done one on Let's Roll, which is, well, it's just come out of Kickstarter actually and done really well. So we're looking forward to all the things that are going to happen with Let's Roll. So slightly confusingly, this time I'm looking at a different virtual tabletop, one of my favorites and one that I'm using a lot at the moment, and I'm looking at Role. So Role is currently in early access, so it's another relatively new entrant into the market. And I love it. So I want to talk a bit about it. I'm looking at it again from just an ordinary GM's point of view. I'll give you a full round through all its different features and facilities. I would say it's, as I say, it's in early access. They're looking to get into, I feel like, a full release probably later this year. You can join Role now if you want to. It's $8.99 and that will give you full access and I think possibly a discount into the subscription model that they are, I think, looking to bring in sometime later this year. I know very little about the finances outside of it. We'll have to see how that shapes out, but certainly as a virtual tabletop it is very good. I have done a walkthrough of Role, I think, a little bit earlier. Such a lot has happened on the platform since my last walkthrough. I thought, well, it's probably worth me giving it another go. So I'm going to give it another go. So let's do that. So I'm going to just transition across. I'm going to say goodbye for a moment. You'll see me later, well, for bits and pieces. But I'm going to take you straight into Role and we'll have a look and see what it's like and what you can do with it. Let's just transition across. Excellent. Marvellous. So there we are. Login page. It's basically, there's a cost if you want to run a game and be a GM, but actually if you're looking to come and play, it's absolutely free. So players can play absolutely free. Let me just sign into my account and I'll start to take you around it. So this is called the dashboard. This is your way in, and there are effectively kind of three things going on here. There are your tables. These are the places where you create your games, and a chance to create a new table. I think you can have as many tables as you like. I'm not quite sure if there's a limit there. And these are the tables that I have set up. I'm going to take you through one of these. We then have over on the right-hand side, we have your sheets. Now, there's two core features for me of Role which makes it stand out from all the other, or at least many of the other virtual tabletop entrants in the market. One is that it is people first. As you'll see, I can't quite demonstrate here, having multiple people involved in this demo, but essentially it's built around video conferencing. So they're putting people first. The other side of it is non-programmatic creation of character sheets and other sort of game-related sheets. So it's all point and click to create your sheets. And I'm going to take you through a little bit of sheet creation while we're at it, so you can see how that kind of works. And the other bit, I think, further down, all these different sheets I've got, is your assets. These are maps, handouts, and a little bit further down, tokens. And these are the tokens that I've currently loaded onto the system. I think I've said before, and I'll say again, what this I feel needs in some kind of way is sort of an asset management function. Essentially folders would be really helpful, and then you can pop assets into different folders. There's also something about working out how tables work with all those assets in play. So some things to think about there. We are in, as it says here, early access version 0.11.2. As I say, some quite exciting features have been added since I last did that. So let's have a look. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into a table. I've got a partially constructed table. So it's a game that's almost ready to go. Needs a bit more work. So let's look at that together. So Charted Space, it's a traveller game. I'm going to press play. and I'm going to arrive at the main, basically the sort of main table view. I'm going to start my live table, which means I want to come into the table, and I'm going to put my camera on, which I now can because I've taken it off the other place. There we are. Hello again. I'm back. So, people, front and center. If there were 5 of us here, we would have 5 of these boxes managed for us by Role, and it's very much about being able to see people. And I think that makes this virtual tabletop really stand out. It's people in the middle. And yes, there are some tools around the edges. We'll look at those in a minute. But that's what it's about. It's very much about people and being able to talk to people and see people, which, frankly, given the year we've had, it's rather nice to be able to just be able to see people and see people really, really well. So that's the core of it. What else do we have here? Well, you'll note on the left is a character sheet. Now, this is one that I've built, and we'll take a look at that. I'm not a coder, but creating sheets is relatively straightforward. And we'll take a look at this area now. So this is a traveller character sheet. It's one that I've sort of knocked together. It hasn't got any data in, but I can add data. I can add, a character into here if I wanted to create one and save it. Yeah, it's pretty damn good. It works really well. You've got a facility as you build up your character sheet. You can go straight down to your modifiers section, or you can perhaps have a look at weapons because it's Traveller, armor because that might help, equipment, and I've even bobbed some psionics at the bottom just in case. You dirty stinking Joe. Right, so Traveller, and we'll have a look at how that works a little bit in play. In fact, we could have a look at that now if you like. By creating a character on the left, you're basically creating buffs. These are sort of ways of notifying what the dice are going to be and what modifiers you've got to the dice. To give an example, if I was to do, what have I got? I've got sensors here. I popped in a skill just so I can demo it, really. I've got sensors 2 as a skill, which if you're a Traveller person, you'll know that this person's pretty good at, well, sensors. And I'm going to say it's an intelligence thing. I don't know if 10 is 2 or not. It's probably not. I should have checked that before I played. Never mind. So the idea is I want to make a sensor roll. I'll take it out of edit. They light up. There we go. Sensors 2. Click. Hooray! And I've kind of got it such that it will automatically create 2 6-sided dice and a +2. But I also want to add my intelligence bonus. There we go. And actually, they are great sensors. So I'm going to add a modifier of a +1 modifier for the sensors. I've got a 2d6 +5 kind of a roll, which is sweet. So you can then roll, and you can watch it go round. And I've got rubbish roll. Never mind. I get in fact, you can show the total, but I can do maths a bit. It's a 9. So my result is a 9. And in play, and so it goes. It took me, well, I did take my time over it, so I probably took 2 or 3 hours to build the sheet. Very straightforward to do. And then you can create sheets, and then you can pass these sheets, you can create characters and pass them around to other players who can then own the sheets. I'll close that. You will see that there is the main dice roller along the top here. One of the things they've done actually with that dice roller, so I'll do it again, I'll just go bosh like that, is you can see that the screen moves around. It keeps the dice roller up there, and while it's there, you can still see everybody beneath, so it doesn't cover up other people. So that's a kind of a feature they've done. You can have private rolls if you really want to. You can make a roll private. If you make it a private roll, no one can see it, and no one can see it in the dice log, which I'll come to in a moment, because that's a new feature that's just come to Role. Anyway, good. Rolling dice. There's lots of other dice. You can see there's D2, there's D4. Let's roll a D4. Don't tread on it or hurt yourself. There you go, a 2. D6, D8, D10, D12, D20, D100, and D Fate, D-Fudge, Fudge dice, Fate dice. You can just, I'll have a D12 and a D10 on top. You can take dice off there as well if you want to. At the moment, you can't say, oh, I'd like a +3 on there. Hence, on my sheets, I had a modifier thing. I want to add a +3, bang, I'm add a +3. I add another +1, add another +1. Another +2, add another +2. So, you can program it to do that, but it doesn't come with the actual dice roller itself, which frankly is fine. and then you can just roll those dice. So there's your dice roller. It's linked to the sheets that you've built. If you want to do that. If you don't want to do that, you could have a simple sheet that's just got the modifiers, and you can just decide to add them on, or if that's how you want to do it. If it's a dice pool, you can put dice pool in your character sheet as well, and it'll throw you sort of 5d6 in a row. It doesn't currently do sort of keep highest and that kind of stuff, I don't think. So you've got to eyeball it, much as you would do if you were at a physical table. Yeah. So it's not calculating it for you in that sense, but you can do sort of standard dice pool. And you can add modifiers, and it works pretty well. And we certainly find in practice that it works really well. I will take you. I'm going to jump around a little bit. So that's dice rolling. If I've forgotten what I've rolled, where do I see where I rolled the dice? Well, that's down in the chat facility, which is really nicely implemented. I really love the way they've done this. So down in the bottom right here, you can see a little chat window icon. I'm going to click on that. And that opens up the everything chat. So I can see any chat that's happened in between the players at the table, plus I can see the dice log, which all the results go into the dice log. And there it is. There's my my rather bizarre roll. What did I roll? 2d6 plus 2d. I rolled 2d6, and I added 5 for 9. Nice. That's showing chat for everything. If I wanted to just see the dice log, then I can select just see the dice log. I'm not sure if these pop-ups are all being seen by you, but you can just select the dice log on its own, or you can decide I want every one, which means I can see all the chat without the dice log. Or if you've got multiple people at the table, you can see and just chat to by selecting one of the players, and you just do that on a select. Really nice little facility. This is brand new for Role, but they've done it so well. I'm really chuffed with it. Anyway, I'll get rid of that for now. Some more on sheets and how sheets work in the game, and then I'll look at assets. So let me come over here. I hope this resolves for you. I've got a couple of sheets here already in the game. I've got a character sheet, which could have a character on it, or could have several characters on it. I've got a referee sheet. Let's take a look and see what on earth that is. Here's my referee sheet. Okay, so my referee sheet, I've got a dice roller here. So I've set it up with a dice pool of 2d6. I'm going to just close that over there. And then as a ref, I could just say, well, this character's got +4 or something. So I'll do a +4. It prepares 2 dice +4, and it rolls it. So I can just roll that now. Marvellous. So what else is on my sheet? And I've got an initiative tracker. So something else that's relatively new to Role is the capability to have shared sheets, where everyone can edit the sheet who's at the table. And so the way I'm doing the initiative tracker is, if we roll for initiative, everyone rolls for their initiative, and they just pop. Well, initially I'd have people's names in here, and I'd have their numbers. And they just add their numbers to the sheet. And you can do that very simply by deciding, with a little cog symbol up there, what you want to do with your sheet. Are you going to set it as the primary sheet for the table? You can do that. Do you want to share it with the table? Well, if you're going to make it a shared initiative sheet, you'd share it with the table. As soon as you do that, it's visible to all the other players to actually access it. Is it a sheet, like a character sheet, that you want to give to a player? You can do that. Or do you want it to be a private sheet? You can make it private. So that's really nice. So I'm going to share this with the table. And if I look now, I've got the option to unshare it if I feel like it. Yeah. So you can do a lot with sharing and unsharing sheets. You can have, like, for example, you could have a shared sheet. It's not easy to say. That might be something like a journal, you know, where everyone can type in comments, or if you want to have like a shared aspect sheet where you want to write aspects down and everyone can have a look at them, you could do that in this facility here. And at the top, if you had a list of players, you'd have a list of the players' sheets, and then you could select the ones that you want. I go to the table sheet. It's this one here. It's not this one. Oops, I can't do that now. I'll come off this. I'm on the table, aren't I? I'll come back to me. That's better. Thank you. It's not this one here. I could set that as the primary, but I haven't. we're going to have another look at sheets because I'm going to create another sheet and add it on, and I'll show you how, well, I'll say how simple it is in a moment. So that's sheets. You've got your dice rolling. There's also a card facility, which I have not used, but I'll click on it to prove it's there. You've got a standard 52 deck, or a standard 54 deck, if you want to include that. Table cards or my hand, so at the deck. I can put cards into my hand. There we go. There we are. And I can discard them, I think. I'm not sure how you, I just say I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you use this. Is that a discard? Yes, it is. You can discard them as well. Open draw it. Probably quite useful. And what I'd like to see coming maybe might be something around, you know, special themed cards. I can't help thinking Everway would be brilliant on here. But anyway, just my thought. So it has got some cards. It's got your dice rollers, it's got your sheets. What else does it have? Well, you'll notice on my video box on Roll, you've got referee and my name. That can be flexibly changed. So where do we do that? We go up to settings and we go up to, I think it's my settings. Yes. So display name, I can change that to anything I like. I can decide I want to, maybe your table wants to have pronouns and how you describe yourself. That's kind of fair enough. So I could add that in. And if I save it, there you go. It just changes it. So you can have, for example, character name, real person's name, say pronouns, or whatever you like, whatever your table wants to do. So that's quite easy to do. So you can play around with that. What else? Let's have a look at assets. I suppose that is the other key sort of feature of Roll. I'm going to open up the asset tray. It's a relatively new table, so I do have some assets here already. And I'm creating a game that happens to be called Forgotten Princess. So you can do things as a GM. You can display images. Let's do that now. Let's look at the promo for the game. So I'm going to click on that, and it gives me some options. I can view it just myself. I can show it to the party, as in to the table, the group. I can view it myself in a new window. Useful when you pass things over to people. They can then start viewing other things in other windows if they want to. I can make it public, which means that this asset also appears in all the players' assets in their tray. Or I can just take it off the table. If I take it off the table, it stays in my overall dashboard assets, if you like, which we saw on our way in here. Let's show it to the party, which is typically what you would do. Okay, so a little bit on the large size. So when you go into this view and you're sharing either an image or a map, you have these controls that appear on the right-hand side with a zoom. At the moment, this literally is the way to zoom in and out. The scroll wheel on your mouse doesn't currently do it, and I don't think there are any keyboard shortcodes. But if I just bob it out, there you go. You can sort of put it out. So that's the promo for my game. Yeah, but I'm not going to do anything more with this one. What should happen is when you share one of your assets up there, you'll see I've sort of, politely filtered myself onto a sort of a video box stripe on the bottom of the screen. Theoretically, smoothly, as I understand it, all other players should appear in this bottom stripe as well. Sometimes when you are sharing an asset, it appears as another video box for the players, and they have to click on it. That then opens it up, and then they come down into the bottom tray. But that's kind of how things happen. Things move quite fluidly. So I can stop sharing now, or I can minimize it. I'm going to actually stop sharing, which means, bosh, I come back, the asset is gone. That's fundamentally how you share assets. Let's go back to assets and look at something in a bit more detail. Most of these are just images, actually. I have got some tokens as well down here, as you can see. But what I don't have is a tactical map. Now, you can share images on... you can share tokens, should I say, sorry, on any image. If you're putting on a tactical map, though, you've got some more work to do. to define the size of it, because that therefore defines the size of your tokens. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment as well. Pretty maps though, he said. Oh, God. Let's put on Chartered Space itself. Bosh. There we go. This is a traveller game. Now, I could, if I wanted to, I don't know why I'd want to do it. For example, you might want to sort of say put a "We Are Here" token on this map. Let's put a skull on. There you go. And then you can move the token around. This is where we are. So tokens can be added to maps and can move around. I'll tell you now, one of the key things about, I mean, they've done such an amazing job with this as well, to be honest. Tokens, however, it's worth noting, tokens are literally just that. They are a visual representation of the thing, in this case a skull. It could well be a character or indeed an adversary, and that's it. You can move it around, you can delete them, you can stick other tokens on top of them, that kind of thing, but that's it. There's no right click for opening up a window to find out more about the attributes of the thing that this token is representing. It's purely just an image. One of the things I would like to see, I mean, again, you know, it's not, you can sort of see, can't you, it's people first rather than tactical maps, but they've done such a lot of work with tactical maps that it would be lovely if they did just a little bit more. I almost feel like I shouldn't ask, but it'd be great to be able to right click on a token, for example, and just have a little note box in there so you could actually note some things about that particular token, perhaps its status, which may have changed in a combat or something like that. But anyway, tokens and maps are serviced in Role, and it works very simply. I'm going to come back to tokens and maps though, because what I'd like to do is look at a tactical map and see how you kind of measure it up and get tokens onto it for an encounter, let's say. Great. Well, let's see. I'm going to delete this token by accessing the delete capability and clicking on it. There it goes. There we are. Oh, incidentally, you can draw on maps as well, which probably I'll show you now. I may as well. I'm going to pick a green pen, and you know, core is here, or something like that. Yeah. So you can do a bit of drawing if you want to highlight things during the game. Okay, so that is a standard map. I think what I'd like to do now is add an asset into the table, and I'm going to add, I think it's going to be a new asset. So let's stop sharing this for now. Hello again. You see how it works. I'm going to go to assets, and I'm going to go to the plus symbol. So I'm going to add a new asset to this table. I'm going to upload it. How much of this you're going to be able to see, I've got no idea. Probably not very much. So I'm going to grab an asset. I'm going to go to my Traveller folder. Bear with me, caller. Go there. Let's go down to a little bit. Give me some Traveller. There you are. Too many folders. Too many games, that means. I'm going to go to there, and I'm going to find a map to add to it. I'm going to make it this one. Open. Right, there you go. I'm back, or at least you can see what I've picked. I've picked something. It's a map. It's a tactical map. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Bunker. Now, because it's actually a tactical map rather than an image, I need to tell Role that it's a map. And there's a specific reason for that. So there we go. Call it map, and I'm going to add that to my assets. Doesn't quite end there though. So I've told it I want to add a map to the system, to the table. And what it does is it says, cheers, now could you tell me by hex or square, assuming you're using hexes and squares, what size it is horizontally and vertically. So good tip, work that out before you select the map. I happen to know that this is 20 squares by 16. In some ways, even if you're not using a grid, if you're wanting to control the size of the tokens, this effectively defines the size of the tokens. I'll explain that when I show about adding a token. Let's have a look at that. So I'm going to set the map size. And this will add this map to my assets. There it is. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to actually show this now. Now that I've added it, it's a new asset and it's a tactical map. I'm going to just zoom out a little bit, move it around, and I'm going to add some tokens onto this map. Here are some I prepared earlier. We're going to have some troopers, because you always need some troopers. Now, I think, unless I'm mistaken, you can only select one asset at a time. You can, of course, pre-prepare all this and present the map to the players all prepared. I'm just doing it on the fly. So I've added a few tokens there, and I can now move them around. So I can have a token over there. And because I've set these tokens to be 1 square in size, because I've just defined the square size for the map, they are resolved to the size that I want them to be. And I'll show you how you can change token sizes as well. There you go. I've added some tokens. I'm going to add Kamala. All tokens arrive in the center of the map, and then you have to reposition them. So I'm going to put Kamala out here. There we go. So, and then you can play out a tactical encounter, if you like, by moving tokens around. There's one other thing that I would like. There's not much, frankly, and the direction they've taken their development in, the way they've prioritized their backlog of items that they want to create, their features, has been absolutely spot on. You know, they've got the whole creation suite of creating assets. They've got that up and running. They focused on getting chat ready as well. Absolutely the right decision. I would love them to do a couple of things on the tactical maps. One is just some kind of way of notifying on a token, as I've mentioned, and the other is some very simple, and it doesn't have to be, well, I say very simple, it's easy for me to say, isn't it? But some probably manual form of doing fog of war. And there isn't a fog of war on Role yet. So when you're in a situation like this, and perhaps you want to keep this tactical map a bit secret, you don't want necessarily the players to know where the troopers are hiding, if that's what you're doing, then you need to basically find a way around it. The way around it that most players on Role, or what most GMs on Role right now do, is they create additional tokens. They just make them very big tokens, and they make them big black squares. Or they use something like a sort of fog of war, fog PNG file, and slam it over the top. Tokens appear in the order in which they're placed on the map in terms of their height. So if that's it now for the map, if I'm going to add on some fog of war style black squares, which I could do if I felt like it, then they would indeed appear over the top of the troopers, which have been placed on the map earlier. In fact, let me just have a go at doing that. So I think I've got a black square and a smaller black square. So if I wanted to create a fog of war, what I'd have to do effectively is something like this. And you could obviously create a range of different sized black squares, or indeed something else, if you really wanted to sort of create the sizing. And then you'd simply have to reveal by pulling them off. I've also got a nice, one of the fantastic users in our community provided this fog of war symbol, and you can sort of obfuscate things a little bit with that as well. And then the idea would be, of course, if you wanted to reveal things, you would have to simply just either move this black square or just delete it and open it up. So not particularly necessarily the most elegant way of doing things. It's kind of a workaround. I'm struggling to find many other things that I actually want Role to do. You know, maybe a little bit around the tokens, maybe a very simple polygon drawing fog of war that you can switch areas off and on flexibly as you wish. And to be honest, maybe a little bit of music might be quite nice. But most of the other features that I'm looking for are already here. And I'm successfully running tactical games. I run D&D 4E on this game, for goodness sake. So if I can run 4E, Dungeons and Dragons on here, you can definitely do tactical maps. So there you are. I've added them. Oh, something about changing the size of tokens. So when a token is when you pick a token and load it in, you select that it's a token, and then you go to the token selection size thing. In fact, let me just. I'll tell you what, I'm going to pick a token. I'm going to click on it here, and it says here Edit Token Scale. So here's one I prepared earlier. So when you are loading a token in, you are much as a map, you have to tell a map what its horizontal and vertical squares are. When you load a token in, it brings you to this dialog and says, well, how big would you like the token to be on a square by square basis? And I've set this to be a little bit smaller than a square, so it can sit on top of a token. I may decide I want a very, very big skull, because I'm making a statement, man. Wow. Big skull. I'm going to set the token scale for big skull. Great. Let's put the big skull. Let's get rid of this for a second. Do you know something I tend to do with this? I tend to leave delete on, and then accidentally, instead of clicking and moving, I delete the token. I do that sometimes. I'm going to add that skull. Wait for it. Bosh! It's a big skull. So you can play around, and you can change it back again if you feel like it. What have you? Anyway. So token scaling, tactical maps, sharing images. Fab. It's pretty simple. I'm going to stop sharing this. If I stop sharing it and I want to share it again, it perpetuates what the changes that you've made to it. So if I share it again, just I think to prove that point, he said, fingers crossed, I'm going to show it again. Can you see how it's kept the tokens where they are? So you can prepare maps, get them ready, and then bosh, share it, and there it is. All good to go. The thing I haven't worked out yet, well, there's a few things I haven't worked out yet. It came up on the Role Discord actually, which is the balance between when you create a table. Do you kind of create a table for just a game, because you could do it that way? Do you create it for a series of games, a series of sessions, should I say? Or can you keep one table that encapsulates an entire campaign? Now you could do that. The only thing about it right now is your assets. So for a table, if I was to have loaded the 4E table and I'd opened up the assets here, you'd find there'd be quite a few maps that I've put on there and a significant number of tokens. So that possibly over time, at the moment, without asset management, managing your assets is going to be a little bit tricky. It also I would say over here, if you're adding lots and lots of sheets, I'm not sure how scalable that is. As a referee, I'm only going to be using, for me, I think probably a dice roller. You could have NPC sheets on here. Mostly for now, I'm still working a little bit off paper and using the dice roller here as a way of signifying dice. I just close this up. So for example, if I've got something that wants to roll 2d6 plus 2, you can see how the map scales itself very slightly to show up the dice roller. And again, I can roll my dice. That's a nice one. Love that. Bit of a 13. Maybe I want to have a just check out what's going on. I'm on everyone chat at the moment. Let's go to the dice log. Is that showing up? Don't know if that's showing up. Sending a message is disabled when viewing the dice log. Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I was expecting to see something more here. Not sure why it's only showing the one thing. I know it does show more because it did yesterday. So I'm not quite sure what I've done there. Maybe, oh, it's a private role. Look, I've over-clevered myself. Look at this. Look at that. I'm gonna prove the technology works. Can you tell I've got no script? Yeah, I'm gonna re-roll this. Woo! That's not such a good roll, but this time it does actually appear in the dice log. Hey, the tech works. I just don't. That's as simple as that. I'm going to close that. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And again, you can push things out of the way. And I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm back. That's pretty much roll, That is it. What else is there? Not a great deal. This is what it does. I like it. I like it because it's so different. It's people with some nice tools around the edges, tools that you can build yourself really easily. The number of sheets that are available now, and they're shared with the community. So someone built. I've shared my Traveller sheet. Should someone want to play Traveller on Roll, you could have a look at my sheet. You may decide to take it, fork it, and improve it. You probably can. In which case, do that, and I'll use yours. That's kind of how it works. And the community is fabulous. We've got We've actually got a Google Sheet that's got a list of all the sheets, all the links to them. It's really simple to share it. Sharing your created sheet is really simple to do. So it's a burgeoning list of sheets for all sorts of games. I don't know that many people are going to use my D&D 4th edition sheet, but I have done one. I'm not sure even if my players are, but there we are, I've done it. Really simple to do. So why don't we have a look at sheets and creating sheets and see what it looks and feels like. So you won't see much of me, which is another plus. And I'm going to take you back to the dashboard, and we're going to have a look at creating a sheet, a brand new one, which we're then going to use in a game. Let's do that. So let me go back to the dashboard. So up to my menu. I haven't gone through everything here. Probably shouldn't I? It's a full run through. That takes you back to your dashboard. That's where we're going in a minute. Your profile settings tells you something about, you know, what I'm called and my passwords and stuff. And if I want to change my profile picture, then I can. I might have like a traveller specific one. That's actually one that I use for my... Is it my Greyhawk or is it my 4E? I'm not sure. Profile successfully updated. I probably didn't need to do that. Safety guide. So just rules, ideas to support safety at the table. Another feature that's coming soon is the ability to remove a player from your table. I'd like to do that. I'm glad to say not because of any safety issues, but just simply as players join the table, they stay on the table. And if players come and go, you get quite a big list of players, which you don't necessarily want. But that's coming reasonably soon. A welcome message. What does it say? Hello. It tells you about Role and what's coming, early stages, how to raise bugs, the about page, an overview video, probably better than this one, of Role. So there's a nice little welcome message. I'm loving this. Report a bug. I tend to do that on the Discord channel. I'll probably, on this video, I'll provide a link to the Discord as well. I think I can do that. If I can't do that, there is a great Discord channel where we tend to chat, and the developer on there is really, really responsive to and listens, you know, and picks things up. So that's great as well. But you can report a bug from here. Tells you about it. The changelog is great. In fact, let's go to the changelog before we go to the dashboard. Let's do that now. And we're in the changelog. So that, again, fairly recently, and a lot of things are fairly recent, so there's a lot of change, and it's all really good. They've put the changelog in a separate place. You can access it from here as well. And well, as you might imagine, it runs through the changes. So we've had a recent cards fix. There was a maps and sheets fix. I did say text chat was new, March the 9th. Really new. Really good. So you got I've got a list of all the most recent changes anyway that have come in. Indeed, it goes older, so probably right back to when they started. Anyway, so there's a way of you, in a very sort of visual way, seeing how Role is developing around your gaming ears. So let me just, I don't know where I'm going now. Let's go back to the dashboard. That's where I really wanted to go. Right then. So we're going to create a sheet. We're going to do it. You can have a look and see what it's like. And I'm doing this on the fly without actually thinking about it. But let's just dive straight in. Now I've already got quite a number of sheets, and you can manage your template library here by looking at all your saved templates and all my templates, i.e. the ones that I've built or the ones that I have taken from somebody else and forked and done my own, you know, copies of. Jackals, nice D100 game, recently arrived. I've done a sheet for that. I've got a table ready. I want to play it. But that's the thing, you see. You can just build your own sheets and get going. Traveller, we've seen the Traveller sheet. Let's have a look at the Traveller Starship sheet. So I've made a start at one. So you would create one here. I'm going to go to Edit instead. Okay, and this will drop us into the sheet, the Creator Suite, if you like, where we can create things. So we're now into the Template Creator. I literally have done nothing with this other than created an empty default. It's not yet published. It's called the Traveller Starship. We're going to create a Starship sheet, which is fantastic. Now I'm not really going to build a full sheet now. It could take forever. But I'm going to give you an idea about how it works together, and then we're going to publish it and see what it looks like. Yeah. So we've got no sections. Fundamentally, a sheet is made up of one or more sections within which there are one or more blocks, and within each block there is a different kind of field input type, and that's fundamentally the structure of building a sheet on Role. So it's really, really simple. You can have a very simple sheet which has just got one section, or you can have multi-section sheets. If you have a multi-section sheet, then the key thing about thinking about your sections is that each section is like a bookmark. So as the sheet is built, if it's a very big sheet and you've got lots of sections, there are ways of rapidly navigating it as a player when you use the sheet. But anyway, enough of that. I'm going to add a section. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it something like ship class. So add that section, and you can see we've now got it. It builds it as you click it. So we've got a section called ship class. I'm going to add a block within this section. I'm going to make it an input block. Now I suspect if I drop this down, you're not going to see the drop down options, I'm afraid. But you've got input block, which I'm going to use, a note block, which I'll come to. I'm going to use a note block in a minute, a point counter block, and a slot tracker block. They're quite good for if you want to track points. So in this case, it might be tracking hull points for a ship, or hit points. You can use things like I think it's the point counter. We'd have to sort of try it. Each of them have got something really good about them. The input block is your standard one, and it's got things like base input fields. We're going to start with that. I'm going to call it an input block. So we're going to add a block. So we've now got a block within our section, but I haven't put anything in the block, so you can't see anything added onto the sheet yet. So let's add some inputs. With a block, you can make it a single column or a double column block. So if I go to I think it's here. So it's in the block options. Here we go. I'm going to make this a 2-column block. You can see how it moves the add input into a single column block there. You can do some other things which are quite clever. You can add dividers, so you can break things up a little bit on your sheet. And there's a potential for you to duplicate these inputs. That's particularly useful if you've got a flexible list that you don't want to have as a fixed list in your character sheet, but the option to keep adding extra items. And so, for example, in Traveller, it might be could be weapons. For example, you could have weapons. You could have like one weapon slot, but then you duplicate it, which means that if the character's got 16 weapons, because they're like that, you can keep pressing add, and it keeps adding another slot in, so you can add more things in. So it's quite a good way of keeping the sheet manageable and not adding in lots of extra things that you don't actually need to use. Spell lists, things like that, feat lists, things like that. Anyway, enough of that. Let's add an actual input. Before I do that, back again. Block image. This whole block could have an image on the actual sheet to make it a very sort of colourful and impactful kind of a sheet. So you can add images as well. As it is, I'm just going to actually add some inputs just to get things going. I'm going to call it a field input. Again, if I do the drop down, you won't see it. There are lots of different inputs here. The field input is your basic thing, which is you can write some text in. There are things like buff inputs where you can add what effectively is a clickable thing which will go as a modifier for dice rolls. You build them here straight in the form. Reference stat inputs, you can have an input which is actually putting text onto the sheet itself to guide people around how to use the sheet. And things like list items and other pieces. So it's really, really good. And a dice pool input here. You can have a dice pool input here, and you can create a flexible dice pool. Let's just go with the field input for now. I'm going to add that input. There it is. I'm going to call that field class. I'm going to call it class name. And you can see as I do that, it adds class name on there. I'm going to add another input, another field input, and I'm going to put, I don't know. Let's put displacement. So you can put the actual size of the ship in tons. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. and I am going to add. Let's add another section. You probably wouldn't do that now. You probably add another block, but I'm going to call it hull. Not as in the place. I'm going to call it hull. So the ship hull. So we've got another section down here, and what you can see I did say, can you see how each section creates a bookmark? I'm calling them bookmarks. You can call them other things. And the idea is that when the sheet's completed, if you've got 10 of these, then you can work down them and quickly get to the place on the sheet that you want to get to. That's kind of works. So I'm going to add a block here. I'm going to add something different just for a laugh. I'm going to add a note block. This is a terrible sheet, by the way. What should we call it? I'm going to go a note block title. I'm going to call this note block title. I'm going to call it Hull Notes. Why on earth you do that? I've got no idea. Hull Notes. There you are. We've got a note field. The note fields are great. A note field is basically a flexible and expandable block where people can just type free text in. I think you can do clever things in here. I think you can do markup in here as well. I haven't particularly used it for markup, so you can use markup in here, which makes the sort of notes fields really quite attractive, actually. This one is going to be, this one I'm going to keep to a single, yeah, I'm going to keep this to a single. In fact, notes fields can't be multiple column. At the moment, certain field types can have multiple column, others can't. Notes can't. That's kind of fairly sensible. They are going to do some more work on the input types. So sometimes we're a little bit constrained about the types of input types that can be repeated, for example. But they are working on that as well. But I can tell you now, there's plenty here to be going on with. That'll do for whole notes. Oh no, I'm going to add something else. I'm going to do that. I'm going to add another input item. So that's my note block item. Yeah, I'm going to add another block then. I'm going to add another block. Is it a point counter I want? It's a slot tracker. I think it actually, yeah, it's a point counter. Yeah, it's going to be a point. I'm going to add a point counter in next. Bang, there it is. I've added another block into this section. Still the whole section. I haven't moved on. And I'm going to call this, what should we call it? We've got hull points, or, you know, hit points, as it's sometimes known. You can set the point counter. Can't even speak now. You can set the hull points counter to a starting value if you like, but typically you're not going to. You're going to add that later on. There we go. We've got some hull points, and I'm going to add a final section to this pretty awful traveller character sheet. I'm sorry, I was just making it up as I'm going along. I'm going to call this, I don't know, I'm going to call this cargo. I don't know, or Crago even. Let's call it cargo. I'm going to make it another, I'm going to add the section. And this cargo has got for no really explicable reason, we're going to add a block first of all. I'm going to add a input block. And to this input block, I'm going to add an input which makes no sense at all. I'm going to add a dice pool, because obviously you want a dice pool. I mean, clearly. There it is, it's a dice pool. And I'm going to call this, the random cargo pool. I can just feel all the Traveller players watching this sort of turning in their graves. There we go. I'm gonna leave it at that. There we are. I'm gonna put a divider on the bottom. Click, add a divider. Do I want to add a divider? Not sure if that really helps particularly. I could duplicate it and have additional cargo pools. I'm not going to bother with that. Right. I'm really happy with this Traveller Starship sheet. It gives you an idea of some of the input types anyway, which was the purpose of the exercise. I've now got 3 sections: ship class, hull, cargo. And I'm going to publish it. This action cannot be undone. Well, it can be because you can delete it later. I'm going to publish it. It's published to me. I've now got a sheet that I can share with others as well. I'm not going to. And so goodbye, template creator. I'm going to go back to dashboard. Let's have a look. Is it on there now? It's Traveller Starship sheet. Oh, have I killed it? Is it in the order you create them? I don't know. I don't know what happened to that. My sheets, it says. It's published. Let me go back. Let me just... Oh, I was expecting to find it in here. Do you know what? Again, if I'd had a script, it would have helped, Graham. Traveller test. That's in there. Maybe I need to create it. Those are my sheets I need to create. Let's go back into charted space. Why not? Let's go to sheets. I'm going to add a new sheet. I'm going to create a new sheet based on one that I have created. Or I'm going to load one of your existing sheets and add it to the table. And I'm going to create one based on... There it is. Traveller Starship. Create a new sheet. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it the Moreover. Create the sheet. There it is. So I've created, so that there you go. I've published a sheet and I've now added it to my table. I can edit it from here, so I can do things. I can give it a name. The class name is a striker class, striker class ship, and it's, you know, I don't know, it's 300 tons, and it's got a very nice hull. Hull points. Well, it's got 100 of those. That's important. And then you've also got a tracker there. Just gonna take it down and up. And a cargo random dice pool. I'm in edit mode. Well, obviously my cargo dice pool needs to be 4 d6. So I'm going to now take it off edit. So I can now use this sheet in the game, and I can say my random cargo pool is 4 dice. Bang, there it goes. I click on that. It gives me 4 dice. I can roll them, and I get a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 6. Great. No idea what that means, but that's how it works. So creating sheets is really easy. Transferring them and making them an asset that you can use, you know, actually on your table, really simple. And then you're off. You've got a sheet that you can use in your game. So pretty easy. Right, I'm now going to come back out of this. I'm going to close the dice roller. I'm going to say goodbye to the Moreover for now. That leaves me here. I've joined the table. I haven't actually started the live table here. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually come back to my dashboard. Awesome. Now, on a very quick run through, a relatively quick run through, that kind of is Role. What you're not getting to see, and obviously watching an actual play on YouTube or something would give you a better idea, is the way that all these components and all these pieces of this picture work together. And for me, one of the great things about Role, which you haven't seen here, is having 4 or 5 people together playing a game. I've had 5 players and me running on this, and it scales pretty well. I'm actually going to log out from here for now, get to my logout. And I'm going to just come up to the composite view. So I'm going to transition back to the composite view. Well, there we go. That is a very quick run around on Role. Now, of necessity, I haven't gone into some of the depths of what you can do with sheets. You can go quite deep and create some fairly sophisticated ones. They're quick to do. The scaling is pretty good. My experience of people accessing is, again, pretty good. I've suggested that maybe they have a place where, you know, click here to find out the best browser browser and operating systems combinations. My experience so far, and I don't want to say this is definitive at all, but if you're using Chrome, you're probably okay. Bottom line, use Chrome. Probably something that uses the core of Chrome, so Chromium-based browsers probably as well. Firefox on Windows works absolutely fine. Firefox on Macs don't seem to, and it's probably got something to do with the way they've built it on that operating system. Safari, right out, forget that. So there are others that I know my players have used and very successfully connected. The shorthand is, if you're prepared to use something like Chrome, then it should work pretty well and pretty smoothly. You want to make sure that you're not using your camera on another application somewhere else on your system before you go in. Otherwise, Role will think the camera's busy, which it probably is, and it won't let you connect. There are probably some other tricks as well, which you need to be mindful of. The key thing as a GM is that pretty much everyone can connect. There are some occasional dropouts. I have to say, on the whole, pretty damn good, actually. And for the quality of the video, actually, I'm going to say stunning. But what I would do as a GM, if you're running a game, particularly let's say in a convention situation, and I do think Role is fantastic for conventions because it's easy. It's really easy to use. It hasn't got a lot of features. The features they are relatively intuitive. And with the chat and the dice roller now, it's great. But do get your players, give them the link to the table beforehand. I didn't show you how to do that, but it's really simple. It's actually on the table info. You just copy the link and send it to somebody they can access. If you want to set a password onto a table, you can do that as well. I haven't actually bothered. That may bite me, but I haven't really bothered. Yeah, you absolutely can do that, and but get your players to test it first. You know, make sure that their browser and operating system combinations is fine. I've run Role on a Chromebook really, really sweetly. It works absolutely fine. I think it's basically down to the browser you've got. The Role servers are currently all situated in the United States. I'm based in the United Kingdom. Whether they will diversify their servers a little bit and provide servers in other parts of the world, and whether that's a good idea for the audiovisual experience, I'll leave to the people at Role to work that one out, and what works for them as a business as well. But that might help. But for the situation and the experience I've had at the table, I like it, and it's definitely a playable, usable, fun kind of virtual tabletop that I will definitely keep coming back to. And the reason that I'll keep coming back to it is that they've kind of come at the virtual tabletop question from a different angle. They've started with people at the centre and built some tools around it. And for that, I think they should be really applauded and supported. As you can see there, it's $8.99, and you can start using Role and all the features that are there, which is really great. So I think that's probably where I'm going to leave it. Thanks for watching. I hope that's been useful and a good view of Role and some of the features of it. As a GM, I'm loving it, and I'm going to be staying with it. I run, as I say, a 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons game on it. I run some True 20 of all things. Do you remember that one? True 20, Green Ronin's fantastic sort of D20 game in Greyhawk of all places too. But as you can see, you can run pretty much anything. At the moment. Will they provide features like special dice and so on? That might come in later releases, but certainly for core dice, it's pretty much all there. Great. Well, thanks very much. Any comments, questions, let me know. I'll leave some links in the show notes, particularly on YouTube. I'll copy this across to YouTube. And yeah, I hope that kind of gives you a good view. Questions, comments, leave it in the notes and I'll try and get back to you. Hope this was useful. Role, virtual tabletop. It's good fun.